for WCBOO, otherwise known as IVO Board 801. And we'd like to thank you for coming tonight and for taking the time. You're going to commit to learning. Apparently, you all really want to learn women's collegiate basketball rules, and we're excited about that. We're excited to get to know you a little bit and to help you meet your educational goals. We have a great education staff who is very, very experienced, and you're going to get to know them very well. One interesting fact about tonight is that there are 6 Michaels in the class, and so I guess we're going to get to know your last names really well. So have some patience with us. I know that this is a nationwide class, which is really exciting to us, and we just like to say, thank you for taking the time and taking a chance with WCBOO. We hope that you enjoy the class. And the one thing I'm going to tell you, you may not like hearing this, is that you need to read the rules. You need to read and read and read and read and read. We're all educators, all of us on this, on the education team, we're educators. And so it's not enough to just look up plays in the case book. You have to read. We want you to become more comfortable with rulebook terminology. So you'll need to read those rulebook and case book. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the course materials. Some people actually print out the book. They like it in a larger, 8 by 8.5 by 11. Do whatever you need to do, mark it up, bend the covers, and put it on all of your devices. But if you don't read, you're not going to get your money's worth out of this class. So I'm just going to start by introducing our staff. Tonight we have Sherry Zappola. Sherry is the interpreter for Board 801. Sherry, you want to just say hi?
Hey, everybody. Look forward to getting started here. And I'll be back on in a little bit. So you'll hear more from me later.
Okay, Sherry is New York. I'm in New York as well. Scott Perkins, college official, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Look forward to working with everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Scott is New Jersey, and back to New York, we have Carl Small. Carl, what's up?
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Looking forward to working with you. And just to really quickly build on what Kerry said, not only do you need to read, you need to ask questions. If you don't understand something, don't hesitate to ask us a question.
Thank you, Carl. And back to New Jersey, we have Rich Fetter. Welcome, Rich.
Everybody, really excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Kerry. Looking forward to working with everybody.
Great. I have one last comment. So in case we forget, at the end of the course, when all is said and done, you'll all get a certificate of completion for this. And we're going to bring you all to the end so that you all finish and that you all get your certificate. So I'm going to hand it over to Sherry now. You all should know how to get in touch with me. You got emails from me. My cell phone is on there, so don't hesitate to get in touch. Sherry's going to bring us around for some more introductions.
Okay, again, everybody, welcome. And also, one of my big pet peeves is, let's make sure that we're constantly muted, because it's really tough when someone's speaking and someone may be driving in a car, or there's a TV in the back, or a significant other is talking or getting something in the kitchen. And so that's really disruptive. So, and we only have an hour of your time per week. So please, let's be mindful of the mute button. Okay. So with that said, what I'd like to do is, my first class that I start out every semester is I do a little bit of an icebreaker. However, we're not going to do the full icebreaker tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call your name out. You're going to introduce yourself really quick. Tell us where you're from and what levels you are working right now. And we'll start out with that. Okay. So the first one is Michael Medeiros. So is Mike here? I don't know if I saw his name.
I don't see.
I don't see it. Okay. Andre Stroud. Did I say that right? No,
Next.
Andre? Okay, next. Cami Spence. I definitely saw that name.
Good afternoon or good evening.
Hi.
Cami Spence, Hartford, Connecticut. Referee high school, college, and the men's pro-am.
Okay. Okay, Eric Curtis. Eric's not here? Okay. Richard.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Richard. Okay, I don't see it. Isaac. Come on, all these people have to be on, no? Okay. And guys, if you see, you guys are co-hosts, so you can let people in if you see them come up, okay?
I got you.
Okay, Michael Kakuk? Michael
Hi, Michael K.
Michael K.
It's Katchuk.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna make it easy for you. It's Kachu.
Oh, thank you, Kachu.
There you go.
Thanks,
And that'll
Mike.
be easy if you got 6 Michaels in the group.
Yeah, we do.
IABLE Board 48, upstate New York. I have been recently elected girls assigner, so I thought that this course would be good for me.
Okay, great.
That's awesome, Michael. Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Michael R.
Hey, if it helps, I'll go by Mike, but
Okay.
I'm probably sure everybody's going to go by Mike too. So
Mike, yep.
I'm in Bel Air, Maryland.
Okay.
Just finished my 4th year of high school. I'm with IABLE Board 261 and 23. Also just finished my 1st year of women's collegiate basketball.
Excellent.
Had a blast. It was fun.
Great.
And everything happened so quickly as far as getting into the game last summer that now I want to do the deep dive into the rules, and that's why I'm here.
Well, that's a great reason, Mike, and you're at the right place, actually. That's awesome. Congratulations on your 1st year. Mario.
Hello, good evening. Mario Christian, IABLE Board 42 in the Bronx, New York. I'm a new official. I did high school boys and girls
Great.
and middle school.
Great. Excellent. Michael C. Calkins. Michael C. Okay. Catherine Ryan. Catherine.
Yes, ma'am. You can call me Kat if you'd like.
Great.
I live in Houston, Texas. I officiate high school boys and girls. I started probably many years ago when I was younger, but in the last few years, I've decided to get serious with it and decided this course would be great. And I'm going to go to some camps this summer just to see if I can get picked up.
Excellent. You're in the right place. Okay. Danita. Danita Pierce. Okay. William Tarpe. Okay. Becky. Hey, Becky. Becky is one of our returning students. She was in the class last year. So Becky is from Kansas. We already know that. And hey, Beck, say a few words.
Hi, I actually live in Colorado, but I officiate in both Colorado and Kansas.
Okay.
I've been officiating high school and middle school just finished my 8th season and looking to jump into women's college level. So refreshing my rules before summer camp this year.
And Beck, tell them a little bit about last year's WCBOO U class.
So I believe we had about 10 people, 12
Yep.
people. It was really helpful questions that were thrown out there by the instructors and students were just fantastic. It just really helps you look through the rule book, answer questions that you might have about how women's is different than high school or men's. Everything was easy to access with Google Classroom. The feedback was excellent. Somebody was always on top of answering your question that you had, and I just really enjoyed it. It's a great group.
Great, thanks, Beck. And we did not pay her for that, by the way.
Glad to see you back.
Brad Greenland.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Brad Greenland, West Jordan, Utah, just right outside Salt Lake City, Utah. Been officiating, just finished my 8th year of high school, first year women's college basketball. So, and I'm here just because I'm looking for every opportunity to get better and learn.
Great, congratulations on your first year.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, Michael Olson.
Yes, I'm from Colorado Springs. Just been doing high school and looking to learn more and get better. So
Okay.
glad to be here.
Excellent. Okay, Mara Sullivan.
Hey everyone, Mara Sullivan from Boston, member of Board 27. I just completed my first year of high school boys and girls officiating, and I've attended one collegiate camp and will be attending another in a couple of weeks and hopefully get added to a staff.
Okay,
Good luck, Maura.
Thanks.
we'll get you there. Justin Shaw.
Good evening, Justin Shaw. Can you hear me? Because
Yes.
I have a headphone in. Okay.
Yeah.
High school official in my 6th year. I referee at in the Jersey Shore Board 194. I also ref in North Jersey, Board 33 as well. So just trying to learn a little bit more about the women's game, and hopefully eventually try out for college to be a college official.
Excellent. Okay. Jeff Schultz.
Hi, Jeff Schultz. As you just said that, just completed my 7th year. I'm also from Bel Air, Maryland, where Mike Resac was from.
Okay.
That's Board 261. Just wanting to improve and see if I can go to the next level.
Excellent. Okay. Cameron.
Hey, that's me. I'm Cam or Cameron. I'm in Board 206 in Vancouver, Canada. So the rules are going to be new to me. I referee high school and the equivalent of junior college, hoping to make the step up to our university or college soon.
Excellent. All right, we're going to get you there. Michael Harrigan. Michael H. Michael H. Are they on? Okay.
Not on, sorry.
Okay, did anybody see if Mike Medeiros came on? Andre?
Not.
Andre. How about Eric?
Nope.
Okay, Isaac?
No, I don't think I saw him.
Okay. And Danita?
I don't think so.
Okay, and William T. Okay, all right, so that's everybody in the classroom. So welcome. We will get to know each other a lot better as time goes on. What I'd like to talk about right now is the way that we do things. So what will happen is everybody has access to the class now. What I'd kind of like everybody to do is do 1 to 2, well, actually 2 classes per week. So by the time we come back on next week, you will hopefully have done class 1 and 2. Class 1 is just court and equipment. It doesn't sound important, but if we don't know our surroundings and the markings on the court and how high the basket should be, then we're in trouble. So it is kind of important that we do know those. And it's really super important that we know our equipment. We need to know the difference between a girl's ball and a boy's ball. We need to know the poundage of how much it weighs. We need to know how high it should bounce. The last thing we want is a really bouncy ball and a lot of long rebounds coming off. off the rim. That makes our job harder. And so these other guys can tell you all about that. So it's really important that we do know the court and equipment, which will include uniforms. And that's a big one. All right. As much as we do not like being the uniform police, we have to. And then the second class is officials, us, and our duties. And that's a huge one. You know, you need to know that, yeah, there's a referee and 2 umpires on the game. And we all have different jobs before the game starts. So it's really good to know those if you don't already. And although once the ball does go up, we're all on the same page. You know, we all need to be on the same page. So it's important that you guys go over those 2 classes and get the work done. What will happen is you'll do the class. It's all recorded for you. You'll get to hear my voice and Carrie's voice. And then there'll be a quiz for you to do. Once you've finished that quiz, you can move on to the next course. So that's kind of how it will be. And then what will happen is we'll come on next week, and actually Scott's going to talk about Google Classroom, but there's also, and he'll talk about the clips that are on for each class as well. But there'll be a quiz, and then there'll be clips that you can look over. And then what we will do is we'll come back the next week and we'll go over any questions that you have that we haven't answered already in the Google Classroom, and we'll go over clips as well. All right. And I think you guys will actually really, really enjoy that. And that's actually something a little bit different, Becky, than we did last class. We did near the end, we did some clips, but this year we embedded clips for each classroom this year. So we're kind of looking forward to that. So with that said, do we have any questions about that so far? Has anybody started it? There we go, Mario. I like that. I like that. Kat, you did too. Good job. All right. So we have some people that already started the class, which is great. All right. So with that said, Scott Perkins is one of our other lead instructors, Division I official. He is great. He and Rich are awesome with clips. And so they're going to talk, he's going to talk about Google Classroom, how it's worked, how it's set up, and clips. So go ahead, Scott.
Thanks, Sherry.
Yep.
Once again, good evening, everybody. Really excited to be here. As far as Google Classroom is concerned, we're going to use Google Classroom as more of a conversation type, a way to communicate with you guys. I know a lot of people are probably familiar with like a Facebook page. I'm not huge on Facebook, but I know how to work it. I mean, I think like 4-year-olds know how to work it at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to post, and I'm going to share my screen in a minute or two, but we're going to basically post clips. We're going to post information. And for the most part, we're going to use the actual stream feature, which is the first page that you usually would log on to when you get to Google Classroom. So everything's right there. I'm a phys ed teacher by day. So we say, you know, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I would say that as far as the comments, but we want to make sure we keep this basketball centric. So we all are great people. We all, you know, care about each other deeply, and you want to know how what we did on the weekend and whatnot. But for the sake of our sanity as the instructors, because we're going to get an email every time we get a response or a comment. So let's just try to keep it basketball focused. If we want to talk other things, we could definitely do it on the meet, but let's just try to keep all these things basketball centric. I want to share my screen just so you guys kind of get a better idea. So see if I can do this. For some reason, it's not letting me share. Give me 1 second.
You should, your co-host.
Yeah, hold on. It's not a big deal if I can, but
Yeah, but that would really help.
yeah, give me 1 sec.
Yep.
Rich, you have your Google Classroom up?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I was
Yeah.
actually trying to
All
pull
right.
it.
So if you pull it up, you know what, pull it up and I'll talk through it as we, this way it'll be easier.
1 second. I just grabbed the wrong email.
While we're on that topic, has everybody joined the Google Classroom?
Yeah, that's a
Because
great question.
that's going to be really, really, really important for our communication. So if you're not on the Google Classroom, I believe Kerry sent a invitation to every single person. So thanks, Rich. So as you see, this is the page, and obviously I'm the last person who posted something. So this is the main page we're going to be using. It says Spring 22 Wickford University Women's College Edition. There are other features that we may use as far as the classwork. Never going to use the grades, but for the most part, we're going to be using this page. So Rich, if you could just scroll down a little bit. I posted all the guarding, the classroom, the free throw violation. These are all clips that we're going to use. We'll talk more about actually cutting clips as the class progresses, because I know a lot of people are interested in that, and that's a huge way that we learn. But everything is going to be basically on this page. So if I was going to click, let's say May 2nd, and if I wanted to comment, just kind of like Facebook, it would say add class comment. I can comment, whatever it may be. I thought that was a great call, or why did we have this particular play? And then you create a stream. So I know everybody's familiar with Facebook. It's pretty much works the same way. You submit it, and then we answer. Either me, Sherry, Carl, Rich, or Kerry will always be manning this. So even if you send something at 3 o'clock in the morning, obviously you're not going to expect an answer right then and there, especially from Kerry, because I know she likes to go to bed early. But one of us will get back to you. There will not be one question that's unanswered, and there won't be one basketball comment that we will not address. So feel free to post. A lot of people work night schedules, have families, they're busy. So whenever you see time to get to it, it's always there. So it's not like a chat feature where if you chat and then you leave and you come back, you can't find what we're talking about. So whatever's here always stays up here. So we're going to be using this a lot. Thanks, Rich.
Hey, Scott,
Yes.
hold on, Rich, don't, can we show them where the book is and the casebook
Sure.
is? Yeah, let's show
Sure.
them where that is.
So if you click classwork and you go down, you'll see the two-person mechanics guide is right here. Then there's all supplemental rules. It's all on this bar. It's very, very simple. So once you click it, it's a huge file. I know one of our other staff members, Julie, said that she recommends downloading it to computer because it will take up a lot of space. So everything is right there for you. Not to get off topic, but I know that, at least Rich and myself, we like to make the rule book, and I know Kerry touched on it a little bit. Our rule book is everything. And I can be the first person to admit, when I started officiating, it was more of an avocation. Now I would say it's more of a job for me, but it's still avocation to a sense. But I played basketball. I thought I knew the rules, but when you read the rule book and you retain that rule book knowledge, obviously the more you get on the court, the more comfortable you will be enforcing the rules and feel that you're actually adjudicating what you see in the rule book. But having your rule knowledge is everything, because if you're not confident with that rule book, it makes for a very uneasy feeling on the court. And it's going to be uneasy for a lot of you who are beginning to begin with. We've all been in your shoes, but having a good sense of the rules is really just can give you a ton of confidence. A lot more than people who've even been officiating for longer than you, because some people just do it, and they never really dive into the rule book and they just kind of skate by and hopefully this thing doesn't happen to me. But when you know what hits the fan and you're the person on that crew who could save us on a rule, it goes a long way. So just to kind of echo off what Sherry and Carl and Rich and Kerry have said, our rule book and our case book are really, that's our Bible. It's our referee Bible for sure. So if there's anybody that has any other questions with Google Classroom, it's fairly simple. Basically, we're using that mainstream, but you could feel free to just chat me or email. But other than that, I just urge you guys, if you haven't joined it, please do, because that's going to be our main source of communication throughout this class.
Absolutely.
Does anybody have any questions about Google Classroom now? Thanks for presenting that, Rich.
No problem.
Hey, Carl, do you want to talk about a little bit about Google Classroom and how you worked with it last year or last time, or?
Sure, why not? So, just to build off what Scott said, we used it as kind of like, and lack of a better response, we use it like Facebook. This is our Facebook page, but it's our Facebook page. So we're the only ones that have access to it. So you ask a question, like Scott said, someone's going to see it, someone's going to respond to it. And it works so good that not only we're going to see it, everybody in the classroom is going to see it. So if somebody else wants to, we might wait, right? If one of the Michaels asks a question, we might wait until one of the other Michaels answers the question and then jump in. And then we could also build on top of that question and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's pretty much how Google Classroom works. It's definitely like a Facebook page. As Scott mentioned, and Scott was great. He put like, 18,000 plays on Google Classroom in the last week and a half. So definitely make sure you look at those plays. There are plays definitely in conjunction with the rules that we're going to go over. And it's just an awesome resource, and we're definitely glad we're able to use it. We definitely know it will help all of us, not only the students, but us as well, the teachers. It'll help all of us improve.
Okay, thanks, Carl. It's awesome. Okay, and when we do answer those questions, guys, want to reiterate that we want to try to use rule book language. Rule book language is actually it's a whole nother language. For an example, it is a free throw and not a foul shot. It is the lane line and not the paint. It is.
Harry, do we have that document in the classroom?
We should have the terminology document on the classroom. Yeah. So, so just rule book language. And so when we are talking and you guys say foul shot or something to that effect, and we correct you on the right. Don't take it the wrong way. We're just trying to get you to start using the correct language. And it is just a whole different language when we get together and we talk, and people from the outside, like my husband or my sister or whatever, and they listen to us talk, they're like, what are you speaking? I mean, it is a whole different language. It really, truly is our own language. And it's important that you know it and understand it. So, and that's what we're going to do in the next 5 or 6 weeks here. So, okay. Any questions so far? Because I don't, Kat, go ahead. Kat has her hand up.
Thank you. How long will we have access to this Google Classroom? Will we be cut off at the end of the course, or will we be able to still have access afterwards?
Carrie, do you want to take that call?
Yeah. You'll have access forever until I archive it, which that will not happen until next year. So, and if you want me to leave it open forever, I'd be happy to do that.
So there you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
If anybody wants just kind of to piggyback off calculator, if anybody wants those clips, and they're worried about not, being able to view them and see them before the class is over, like Carrie said, this will be open forever. But if you ever need them, just let us know. We share clips, and I think I could speak from all the staff for us all to get better. So this isn't about, who's on the clip or what game was that. These clips, it could be a Division III game, it could be a high school game, it could be a Division I game. It really doesn't matter. And all the people that are in the clips, we've actually asked for permission to show, them using the clips. We don't, kind of like, in terms of basketball, we try to take care of our primary. We try to stay in our own primary. And if we're going to leave, we try to ask, we kind of ask permission for in that sense. So all the clips that we've used, we've spoken to the people, and we've received actually a lot of them from other people. So feel free to share them in your, if everybody has their own study groups or whatnot. We all try to get better using these clips. So if anybody ever needs them and they're worried about not being able to get back on the Google Classroom, just let one of us know and we'll get them to you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? This is pretty quick. Okay, we've got a lot of time on our hands. Okay, so I don't know. Do we want to do a clip, guys, or?
Yes, show a clip.
Okay. Are you guys ready for that?
Yeah, Rich, you want to show that?
Yep. Give
So
me
I-
1 second.
So I thought this was a basic play, but apparently Rich might have disagreed. But we just kind of walk you through and just kind of how we do certain things. So we basically use a lot of the games that we officiate use something called DV Sport, which if anybody's ever seen any basically basketball game or football game, DV Sport kind of runs everything. So a lot of the clips we use are from DV Sport. It's really simple to use. We basically try to run the clip, not just the actual physical thing that happened, but we try to run it a few seconds before and a few seconds after. And that includes when we send stuff to our supervisor, that includes when we send stuff to, our fellow officials who we officiated, or, if the league needs to see it for some strange reason, but we try to run it basically 10 seconds before and 5 seconds after. Of course, this clip that I'm going to show now, I kind of cut it a little bit short, but this is just, kind of a basic play, and I'll run it through first without saying it. So Rich, you want to run that through?
She played at a high level, such an athletic player.
You can run it one more time.
Livingston, she played at a high level, such an athletic player.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. So this is just a kind of a good lesson, and something that we're going to talk about more as the class goes on. But every single time the ball is caught, we need to pick up the foot, which is the pivot foot. So the first foot that hits that floor when the ball is possessed is the pivot foot. We need to embed that in our heads, no matter what level of basketball we are officiating. So if you see here, her left foot's in the air, her right foot's her pivot. Watch as she tries to make this pass. Totally switches the pivot foot. Totally switches the pivot foot. Remember, if you are righty, does anybody know, if you're a righty, what foot do you want to be your pivot foot? If anybody can unmute yourself or anybody shout it out.
Your left.
Your left, okay? You always want your opposite foot to be your pivot foot. So remember, when a righty catches a pass, they're going to do everything they can to get that left foot their pivot. And if you watch a righty catch a pass with two simultaneous feet, I'm willing to bet 98% of the time that left foot becomes their pivot foot. So I noticed here that this girl clearly catches the ball with her right foot. And now she's not shooting and she's not driving. But if you just watch, it's a little bit choppy, but she taught. So as officials, we basically need to trust our gut. If something in your gut makes you feel like something's wrong, or something in your gut makes you feel like something's not right, 99% of the time, we're right. We're right a lot more than we're wrong. So something in my gut just told me that just looked awkward. And if you could tell, the girl kind of gave herself up in a sense. All right. So, sometimes players do things and it's, when they do things unnatural, they kind of stop, or, no, we're not going off their body language, but the whole play just kind of looked awkward. So this is just a simple catch. Every time the ball is caught, we need to pick up the pivot foot. And Joe Vasili, who's also on our workgroup staff, says every single time throughout a game, you watch a basketball game on TV as part of a drill, it's just to watch the pivot foot. So I do it all the time in the NBA, not because I'm going to watch the travel being called, because we all know that doesn't happen in the NBA,
Right.
but I just watch because these guys are so quick. And so many times, if you can't decipher which foot is the pivot foot, then you got to give the player the benefit of the doubt. So if it's tap, tap, and it's really quick, then we give them the benefit of the doubt. But when you clearly establish one foot as your pivot foot, remember which we'll talk more about as the class begins, but that foot, the first foot to hit the floor when the ball is possessed, is our pivot foot. So even though it's 5-3 in the first quarter with 8:48 left, okay, we call this because when there's a minute left in the game, we have to call a close travel call. They can't say, how could you call that now and you didn't call it all game? Okay, we're not looking to call travels, but when players, this girl gets a clear advantage. Okay, we're not calling advantage disadvantage, but guess what? We all see obvious. So when you get a clear advantage from switching your pivot foot, that's something that needs to be called. And this is, kind of just what we do when we break down clips. On my computer, just not to go off topic, but on my computer, what I do is I group the calls by what they are. So I don't just have, let's say, Monmouth Providence, and I have 10 clips. I clip them by travel, no call incorrects. I call hold, pushes, block charge, and it goes from game to game because I could watch 10 plays from one game and they're all 10 different types of plays. But if I'm really trying to get better, I need to look and see why was this a travel, but why wasn't this a travel? Why was this a push, but this not a push? So if you have plays grouped by category, in my opinion, it just makes it a little bit easier to decipher what's right and what's wrong and what's a foul and what's not a foul or what's a violation, what's not a violation. That's just something I use, and we'll talk more about that as the class go on. But this is just, just like a simple clip like this, 5-3, 8:48 first quarter, but kind of just what we do. I should have let it run a little bit longer because it's 10 seconds prior and 10 seconds after, but you wanted to show you just kind of like a basic travel call. Does anybody have any questions about like clipping or this particular play? Feel free to unmute yourself. But we're going to be a lot of you that aren't familiar with clips. We're going to dive into that a lot throughout the class, and we'll be able to help you guys if any questions regarding that. But this is just kind of like a little basic clip that we wanted to show you, and we'll be showing a lot more. As you can tell, the Google Classroom is loaded with clips. Yeah. So feel free to look at those.
Something else to piggyback off that, Scott, too. It's not about looking at whose call it was or why did they get it right or did they get it wrong. But it in certain cases, like when I watch film myself, it's all about how did I get the call right, or why did I miss it? So it's about the positioning as well. So we're not just looking at it for getting it right or wrong, but where was I? It's a game of angles. So you can really use, and DV Sport in certain cases gives you different angles. So if we were to look at, we may be able to get a baseline look of this play as well for Scott, if we were to use DV Sport. But like in terms of why did he get this play right? It's his positioning. Like again, very simple play, but he's in great position to accept the play. He's not moving when he makes the call. So like those are additional things that we look at when we're breaking down film of ourselves, is not just, oh, great, I got it right, let's move on to the next play. But, can I get myself in a better position to have a better angle? Or how can I help my partners out? If, for example, if Scott were to miss this and I was in the center position, could I extend my depth to help him with this type of play? So it's going beyond just the narrow focus of the play, but the bigger picture of everything that's happening on the floor. So I think that's something else that we'll cover throughout the weeks of the course, is in terms of tape breakdown, going beyond just the play that you're focusing on.
No, that's a great point, Rich. And we kind of joke about it in the officiating world, but when we hear from our supervisors, it's usually not for good reasons. So if we're receiving clips from our supervisors throughout the season, depending on, what league or what conference or whatever it may be, they're very nice people. I can't say that I've ever received an email and said, "Hi, Scott, you did a great job on that game. I just wanted to show you this clip that you got right." So we more often than not get clips when we miss plays. But it is just as important to look at the plays that we get wrong, to look at plays that we get right. So like Rich said, why did we get this play right? Because we're our own worst enemies. And, I know Rich and Carl and Sherry and Carrie, we could all speak, there's been times where you have to pull over on the side of the road because you just have to see a play because your supervisor is going to call.
Absolutely.
And we're not going into our car. We're not going to the locker room and say, "Hey, Rich, great charge. Let's go watch that." We're looking at plays of interest and plays that we think we missed, plays that we think we might have to answer of why we missed it. But when we break down tape about plays that we missed, we also have to compare that to the plays that we got right. So there's a fine line between being our worst enemy and being our, and just patting ourselves on the back. So we need to make sure that we have plays that we get right and plays that we get wrong. And like Rich said, our positioning, 99 times out of 100, that's why we get plays right and wrong. We all know when we watch TV what a travel is. We all know what a foul looks like. But on the court, our positioning, we put ourselves in position to either get the call right or wrong. So like Rich said, it's really a game of angles and game of, it's judgment, but our angles put us in position to make better judgments. So I hope that helps, guys. I'm gonna kick it back to Sherry, and if there's any other questions about clips, we can talk about that more as the class goes on for sure.
Okay. All right. Do we have any questions about that? Comments? Nothing?
Traveling is the toughest call in the game, guys.
Well,
Tough
and
to-
actually, it's a point, it is a points of emphasis. You know, last year, and it will continue to be a point of emphasis in the years coming. So, and the reason it is a points of emphasis is because so many things could happen if we don't get that travel call. If Scott did not call that travel, and that player was allowed to pass the ball or drive the lane, and she gets to the basket and she gets fouled, not only is now that the fouler, it could be, well, because it was the beginning of the game, it's not going to be, but let's say it's
Well,
near
then-
the end of the third quarter and it's her fourth foul already, and she's one of the star players. And now she's upset, the coach is upset, the coach is going to start screaming and yelling. There may be a technical because of that play, and it could be an N1. And because we didn't call that travel. I mean, that's how important those things are when we don't get it right.
And
On
Carrie,
top of that,
sorry, Sherry, can I add something? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Carl.
No worries, no worries. Go ahead, Rich.
No, I was going to say something else to add to it, which is an added layer, and only knowing because of the teams that Scott had. It was a non-conference game, so that means it's even happening earlier in the year, to the point it's probably based on the teams there. It was probably one of the first games of the season. So if we don't get that there, they get the conference play in January. Well, why isn't that getting called then with conference? It lingers, not just from that game if he doesn't get that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and even now Sherry said if it was later in the game, you know, it could be that star player's fourth foul. But early in the game, it could be that star player's first foul, or it could lead to a basket that shouldn't have been made. So we do have to get that. And like I said before, traveling, I'll take block charge plays all day, every day. I don't know about Sherry, Rich, and Scott. I'll take those plays all day, every day over travels. Because travels, the way the kids are being trained, as fast and as athletic as the kids are now, they're really the toughest call in the game.
Yeah, I mean,
so we get them early, we get them often.
absolutely. And I think that anybody who has any experience on the collegiate level, is traveling always a point of emphasis? It's been a point of emphasis probably since they wrote the rule book. And the reason things are points of emphasis is that the NCAA doesn't think we're doing a good job with them. So until they are satisfied, they're always gonna be a point of emphasis. And I don't think there's gonna be every year at the end of the year where the secretary, rules editor, or the national coordinator stands up and say, guys, we got every single travel right. So traveling is not a point of emphasis. Traveling is a huge part of our game in women's basketball. Women's basketball is not played above the rim like the men's game. So these, like Carl said, these girls are getting quicker, they're getting faster, they're getting more athletic. They seem to be getting taller, or I'm getting shorter, one of the two. So, you know, when these players are extremely skilled, and now we let them, you know, get away with traveling, and we're not looking for those, you know, I'm not going to use rule book language here, but those ticky tack, but obvious travels have to be called, because like we said before, you know, you don't want to let these things go. And then when there's a 1-point game and now a girl clearly travels and we let it go and they win the game, because I've been a part of plays like that. And, you know, it puts us in, it puts our crew in a really, really bad position. We are going to miss travels. We're going to miss fouls. We're going to miss violations. We are human beings. So until they replace us, like I was talking to Rich about the other day, until they replace us with robots, like maybe Major League Baseball, I think basketball, we might be the safest of anybody because there's so much judgment. So I think our jobs might be safe for a little while, but until they replace us with robots, we are going to miss calls. What we want to do is we want to make enough right calls that coaches start trusting us and players start trusting us and our partners start trusting us, that when we do miss a play, they trusted us on the other 200 plays. And you know what? Maybe they lay off us on that one play. But when we put ourselves in position to get things right, and we put ourselves and our crew in position to get things right, because me being out of position can sometimes put the rest of the crew out of position. So it's a trickle down effect, and it's, you know, we've all officiated at some, you know, level. Doesn't matter if it's a 2-person game, a 3-man game, a 3-woman game, whatever it may be. When we do things that are not, I don't want to say wrong, but we do things to hurt ourselves, it hurts our crew as well. So we're going to misplace. We are not, you know, this is not a class where everybody's going to get everything right when we graduate this class. No, because I have a lot more files on my computer from plays I got wrong than plays I got right. That's for sure. But we just need to say why. Why did we get that play wrong?
Yep.
You know, I say every night when I'm the crew chief of my game, you know, let's make sure we do our best. We don't kick a rule, and the right team wins the game, because the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So if I miss 2 travels, the sun will still rise and the sun will still set. But we just want to put ourselves in best position for our crews to be successful. And I think that watching film and watching tape holds us all accountable. And it's an open forum. I in all my years officiating, I never had somebody, you know, send me a clip and say, hey, what were you looking at here? You know, it's always about us or what we could do to get better. We're here to learn and we're here to get better. And I think that film, unless you watch film, you're never going to be the best you can be, because film is, you know, it's something as simple as, you know, touching your waist all the time, or you have this thing you do, you know, you want to just try to be as uniform as possible and not stand out. We all want to look the same, and we want to do things the same way. So, you know, just a little thing like, you know, we touch our face every time, or you learn so much about yourself on film. It's really, really a great tool. And we're lucky that we have this forum to share, you know, clips with one another. And I think that, you know, by the end of this course, we'll all be a little more comfortable watching and critiquing film.
And something else on top of that, to Scott and what Sherry was saying earlier, like, I'll always accept a coordinator questioning my judgment. You can question my judgment all day, but don't question my rules decisions, because if you're questioning my rules decisions, it means I don't know the rules. And that is like there's no non-negotiables with the rules. You either know them or you don't. So if I'm being questioned on a rule, I'm a lot more concerned than a coordinator questioning me on a block charge, to what Carl was saying earlier. I'll take block charges all day long. We can talk about my position and all that, because it's a judgment play versus the rules. Like the rules, it's a lot more black and white with rules.
Absolutely.
Great point, Rich and Scott.
Yep. Okay. That's great stuff, guys. That's great stuff. Do we have any questions? Anybody have questions so far? We're almost coming to the end. No questions? Okay, I'm going to throw out a quiz question, and you guys are going to put your answer in the chat. Okay. As a referee, you are responsible for tossing the ball, true or false? As the referee, you are responsible for tossing the ball. Okay.
Hey, Sherry, I don't think chat's enabled for the participants here.
Say that again?
I don't know that chat's enabled for us.
We're
getting responses from it.
Yeah, we're getting responses.
Make sure you click 2 and you can click to everyone. I don't know if you see on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting some. We're getting a lot. False, you can designate it. All right, Jeff, great answer. Okay, so the answer is false. That is correct. You, as the referee on the game, can choose who tosses the ball, whether you want to toss the ball, or if, say you're a seasoned official, like I've been officiating for over 20 years. If I'm doing a game with a person who is their first year as a varsity official, or their first year as a collegiate official, or the first couple years, I may say, you're tossing today. Okay, because tossing's pretty cool. All right, I love to toss the ball. And you have to be good at it, because that's the first thing that starts the game. And if that's not done right, then the whole game can go downhill from there. So, but yes, you do have a choice whether you want to toss or you want to designate somebody to toss the game. However, after that toss, you as the referee put the ball in play for the second, third, and fourth quarter. Okay. Simple, pretty simple, right?
Jerry, how did you practice your toss to get so good at it?
Carl, great question. So what I used to do is I would stand under and say, by the way, if you guys don't know this because I am sitting down, but I am only 5'1". So when I go, 5'1", thank you very much.
You were 5'2" last year.
Yeah. And it depends on my shoes. I might get the Hokas this year because that's going to add another 2 inches. So obviously everyone is taller than I am. So what I do is I go underneath the basket rim and I do a 2-hand toss and I toss it up and make sure it goes up through the rim and comes straight down. And I don't want it to touch the rim. So I practice tossing. I did that. I still do it. But that's one way to practice your toss is to have a great toss.
And she said 2 hands. I'm a one-handed tosser, and
So I was just going to say, Carl, how do you do it?
I'm one-handed, and I did the same thing that she's saying, and that's why I asked her because I knew what her answer was going to be. But I did the same thing, and I still do the same thing. I go under a rim, and I push it up with one hand. On one hand, I make sure it goes straight up and comes straight down. And I do that 10, 15, 20 times. And it really helped me, and it still helps me to make sure that my toss goes straight up and comes straight down.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. Scott, what do you do?
So I actually do 2 hands, and I would say I guess I get to cheat because I'm a phys ed teacher by day. So I could toss the ball all day long if I want. I can aim for birds, I can aim for rims, I can aim for the ceiling. So, and I prefer the two-handed method. So it's funny that you said, I have a quick story. It's funny that you said after the jump ball, you have, the referee goes back to inbounding. So this is probably about 13 years ago, my first Division III game. I'll never forget this. Like Sherry was saying, I work with 2 pretty veteran officials and they let me toss the ball. So to be honest with you, when I got hired for Division III, I barely even knew where to, I didn't even know where to stand really. I had very little 3-person training. I hated when they called timeouts because I just didn't know where to stand. I kind of was just filling in and I had good mentorship. It's just, when a game starts, you're nervous, you don't know where to be. So I'll never forget this. I tossed up the ball and it was a blowout of a game. I think the final score was like 92-20. And at the end of the first period, I guess one of the players must have gave me the ball. So I went to half court opposite the table, and I'll never forget the R on the game comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you're still a rookie, buddy." And I just didn't. I just thought because I tossed the ball up that I was inbounding the ball, and I was the referee. But so that's a great point. Remember, anybody can toss, and there's a lot of veteran officials who refuse to toss.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't like the toss. Some of them do the surprise on you. If it's, your first game in the league, I've done it to people, you don't want to have them think about it. So right before you go, you say, "Here you go, you're tossing." You kind of catch them off guard. It's like a little fun thing you want to do. But once that ball is tossed, the referee still has the jurisdiction to inbound the ball at the second, third, and fourth quarters. So that's a great point by Sherry. But tossing is definitely an art form for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you toss with one hand, right, Rich?
Rich, you're up. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a one-handed tosser. I also use it. I use it as an opportunity to lighten the mood as I'm coming into the circle and let the girls. I always the ones that have me all the time. They know I come in and I say, "Don't hit me in the face." I said, "I'm going to set it, then I'm going to toss it." So I give it a quick set and I throw it up. So they actually know my rhythm. If some of them have me often, but I use it as a point to just lighten the mood before we start the game.
Yeah. I actually, when I go in, because I'm so small, I'll go in and I'll pull out my elbows really, really wide so that because they crowd me and then I can't their elbows come right on my head. So I'm like, "All right, guys, back it up." So before I toss the ball, but yeah, it's definitely an art.
All right, let's go one extra credit question.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the number one thing not to do when you're tossing the ball?
Oh, that's a
Ooh,
great
good
question.
Scott.
Yep.
What's the number one thing not to do?
That's a
Well, at
great
least
question,
in my
Scott.
opinion. There you go.
Ah,
We
there
got
you
two
go.
right
I think they're
Yeah.
gonna ask us if we had our toss bet taken down.
Oh, been there, done that.
Got it. David, good
Yeah.
job. Good job.
Yeah, you do not want that
Everybody.
whistle in your mouth. And there's going to be times where you're going to need to blow the whistle because there might be a backcourt violation or something may have happened. But don't worry, you'll find your whistle, and that one time when you need it, trust me, it's going to be wrapped around your shoulder. You're not going to be able to find it. But it's better than
Just
having that
blow
whistle
it.
in your mouth.
When you get it, just blow it. When you find it, just blow it. And
Yeah.
like to build on top of that, I always keep my hand up. I'm a one-handed tosser. I always keep my hand in front of my face so I don't get that elbow or knee or hip or anything to my face.
Absolutely.
All right. Good stuff, guys. Great questions. Great questions. Okay, we have 3 minutes. Do we have any more questions? Anybody?
Everybody's going to go start tossing now and this call's over. Right?
I hope so.
Don't
I
put a
hope
hole
so.
through your ceilings, though.
I hope
Well,
so.
we got a lot of West Coast people, so they can still go. They can still go outside and toss.
True.
Right.
That is
That's
true.
right.
That is true.
That's right. I'm just trying to see if anybody else came on that for roll call. I don't see Danita. Where's all the M's? Sorry, guys. Just Michael Ols. Yep, he already introduced himself. Mike did.
Hey, Sherry, this is
Yes.
Steve Harris.
Hi, Steve.
I was not able to register. I had some problems with it, so Carrie is
Okay.
helping me out with that.
Okay, great.
But I'll be joining as well. I'm from Board 27 in Massachusetts,
Excellent.
7-year high school official, and looking to get better.
All right, hold on. Let me write that down. Steve Harris. You said Massachusetts?
Yes,
Okay. Board what?
27.
Great, thank you so much. And I'm sorry, your experience again?
7 years, high school boys and girls.
Okay. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
That is great. Good stuff. Yeah, I saw you earlier, but yeah, okay, that's great. Okay. All right, anything else? All right, so in closing, we record.
Sherry, I'm sorry, I just have to put the Google Classroom code out there to everyone.
ahead,
just
Karen.
One more time before you shut it down.
Go ahead,
Keep-
Karen.
you can keep talking.
Carrie, say it again.
Unmute yourself, Carrie.
So I'm just gonna put the Google Classroom code out there one more time in the chat and the attendance before you shut it down.
Okay. All right, so before we shut down, any questions? So this is kind of how the class is going to go. Obviously, the next Monday night, it will be 8:30. We will start on time. We will end on time. We will talk about, class 1 and 2. And if you go ahead and you have questions on class 3 and 4, that's okay too. Bring those questions up as a group. It's great that we discuss things. We discuss things as a group, which is great, and we get things going on. And we'll break down some more film clips and keep going. So this is kind of how it'll work. Like I said, as we get in closer into the more in depth, the conversation will get more in depth, and you guys will have a lot of questions, and we'll have lots of answers for you. So with that, this is recorded. We will put it up probably tomorrow. We'll put it on our WCBOO U YouTube page, and you can go over it again if you need to. Okay, so with that, any other questions? Okay, guys, get
Hi.
work. Hi, go ahead, Omar.
Hi, good evening. I wasn't able to say good evening, but my name is Omar Jolly. I am registering as soon as this session is done tonight.
Okay.
My God.
Just want to give a big shout out, especially to My big brother and mentor, Carl, who's just been a good friend and a mentor and really helping me a lot. I'm a first year ref, board 41 in West Hempstead, Malvern, Long Island area, and glad to be in session tonight and looking forward to being greater at my craft. So thank you again.
Omar, thank you and
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, awesome. Okay, so guys, have a great week. Get on this, do your quizzes. You have questions, put it in Google and we will get back to you. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for coming and we will see you next Monday night. Same, go ahead, Becky, you have a question? No, you're saying goodbye. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.
I can stop recording. Hold on, stop.